The sportive knightly battle awakens the best human characteristics. It doesn't separate, but unites the combatants in understanding and respect. It also helps to connect the countries in the spirit of peace. That's why the Olympic flame should never die. So said Adolf Hitler about the 1936 Olympics. Hello and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. While researching my books, I unearth tons of historical information that does not end up in my stories, so I've created this channel to share those tidbits with you. In February 1936, the Winter Olympics were held in Bavaria for nearly 500,000 visitors, and as one source put it, served as a propaganda stage for the Nazi regime. However, it was the Summer Games held in Berlin that August in which the Nazis actively promoted Hitler's government and the concepts of racial supremacy and anti-Semitism. The decision to award the Games to Germany was made in 1931 by the International Olympic Committee, while the Weimar Republic was still in power. As time passed and the Nazis took control, implementing anti-Semitic policies, the IOC had second thoughts and met several times to discuss changing the decision. True to form, Hitler assured the committee that Jewish athletes would compete on the German team. In 1935, the American Athletic Association proposed the Games be moved to Rome. However, the suggestion never gained any traction. Debates and discussions continued among Britain, France, Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, and the United States, and included campaigns to boycott the Games. Exiled German political opponents also campaigned against the Berlin Olympics. In the end, the protests were unsuccessful. Germany remained the host, and 49 nations provided teams, the largest number of participants in history of the Games until then. Individual Jewish athletes from several countries boycotted the Olympics or the qualifying trials. Prior to the event, the official Nazi Party newspaper in Germany proclaimed that Jews should not be allowed to participate, and in fact, German Jewish athletes were barred or prevented from taking part by a variety of methods. However, some female swimmers from the Jewish Sports Club participated. Interestingly, Germany expelled Lithuania because of its anti-Nazi policies. In an effort to outshine the 1932 Olympics held in Los Angeles, new facilities were constructed, including 100,000-seat track and field stadium, 6 gymnasiums, and several smaller facilities. In total, 22 venues were used for the Games. The Olympic Village that housed visiting athletes was located about 30 kilometers from the center of the city, in Westermark, and featured 1- and 2-story dormitories, a large dining hall, swimming facility, gymnasium, track, and other training facilities. Wolfgang Fürstner, who oversaw the construction, was replaced 2 months prior to the Games, with authorities claiming he had not acted with the necessary energy to prevent damage to the site by the 370,000 visitors who came through during May and June. In reality, his half-Jewish ancestry made him unsuitable for the Nazis, and he was expelled from the Wehrmacht. Sadly, he committed suicide the day after the Games ended. Prior to the Games, "Jews Not Welcome Here" signage was taken down, and in an effort to clean up the host city, the German Ministry of the Interior authorized the chief of police to arrest all Romani and intern them in a special camp. There were many firsts associated with the 1936 Games, including the torch relay from Olympia, Greece, to Berlin via Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Austria, a distance of about 3,000 kilometers, or 1,864 miles. Additionally, the 1936 Games were the first to be broadcast on television, with 25 TV viewing rooms set up throughout the greater Berlin area. More than 70 hours of coverage was transmitted from the Paul Nipkow TV station, with footage that used 3 different camera types. The Games were also the first that were photographed and filmed in color using the newly invented AGFA color. Radio broadcasts are thought to have reached 41 countries. With a budget of $7 million US, German filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl was commissioned by the German Olympic Committee to film the Games. Known for her earlier propaganda film Triumph of the Will, released in 1934, Leni used many advanced techniques that would later become industry standards, such as unusual camera angles, smash cuts, extreme close-ups, and putting tracking shot rails in the viewing stands. She set up as many cameras as she could and attached automatic cameras to balloons and placed others in boats during practice runs. Highly unusual for the time, she used an underwater camera that followed the divers through the air. Then, when they entered the water, the cameraman followed with the camera. Despite the controversial nature of the material, the film is considered without equal by many historians and scholars. After World War II, Leni was arrested and charged with being a Nazi, quote-unquote, fellow traveler, which is a person who is intellectually sympathetic to the ideology of a political organization and who cooperates in the organization's politics without actually being a formal member. She was not charged with war crimes. In the months preceding the Games, colorful posters and magazine spreads were used as propaganda. Images were designed to create a link between Nazi Germany and ancient Greece, symbolizing the racial myth that superior German civilization was the rightful heir of an Aryan culture of classical antiquity. Propaganda efforts continued after the Games with the 1938 international release of Leni's film. Opening ceremonies were held on August 1, 1936, and included a flyover by the German airship Hindenburg, flying the Olympic flag behind it. Music was led throughout the ceremonies by the famous composer Richard Strauss. Hitler and his entourage arrived, followed by the Parade of Nations, with Greece entering first, then the other countries in alphabetical order. And as the host nation, Germany entered last. According to one report, some athletes purposely gave Hitler the Nazi salute as they passed, while others gave the Olympic salute, which is similar. The salute was later abolished in 1946. With the exception of the United States, United Kingdom, Switzerland, and the Philippines, the nations lowered their flags. It was later explained that the U.S. was following an army regulation, and the country traditionally avoids dipping its flag at any Olympic game. The president of the German Olympic Committee gave a speech. Then Hitler addressed the crowd and declared the Games open. Unfortunately, there was a rather comical incident afterwards when 25,000 pigeons were released and a cannon shot off, literally scaring the poop out of the birds that defecated over the crowd. Reports differ regarding numbers, but between 4,000 and 5,000 athletes competed in 129 events comprising 19 sports. Basketball, canoeing, and handball made their debut. And there were 2 demonstration sports, baseball and airplane gliding. Exhibition games included Indian sports such as kabaddi, kho-kho, and malakamba, as well as Chinese martial arts, wushu, and motor racing. Medals were awarded for art competitions and feats of alpinism and aeronautics. Germany's team was the largest, with 348 athletes, followed by the U.S. with 312 athletes, including 18 or 19 African Americans, reports differ, and 5 Jewish individuals. With 89, or 101 according to one site, medals, Germany was declared the Games winner. The U.S. came in second with 57 medals. However, African American track star Jesse Owens was the most successful athlete at the Games when he won 4 gold medals in the sprint and long jump events. Mac Robinson, another African-American competitor and brother of baseball's Jackie Robinson, took the silver in the 200-meter spring behind Jesse. And African-American John Woodruff took the gold in the 800-meter race. A bit of controversy surrounded the Americans when the decision was made to replace Jewish American athletes Marty Glickman and Sam Stoller with Jesse Owens and Ralph Metcalfe in the 400-meter relay. Many felt this was a capitulation to anti-Semitism and an effort to, quote, not embarrass the German hosts, unquote. Others have commented that given the Nazis' philosophy about blacks, the replacement does not support that theory, but rather that Jesse and Ralph were in better physical condition. "13-year-old Marjorie Gestring won the women's 3-meter diving event, and the 8-man U.S. rowing team from the University of Washington came from behind to win the gold, an event showcased in the 2023 movie The Boys in the Boat. 9 athletes of Jewish heritage won medals at the Games, but tragically at least 2 Polish Jewish Olympians who attended the Games later died as part of the Holocaust. The year after the Games, Hollywood weighed in on the Games, and 20th Century Fox released Charlie Chan at the Olympics with a plot featuring the Berlin police force helping the Chinese detective catch a group of spies attempting to steal a new aerial guidance system. Actual footage from the Berlin Games was used, however it was edited to remove any and all Nazi symbols. Would you like to learn more history? Please stop by my blog that can be found at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.